Hello and welcome back to the Cars Ireland YouTube channel, and what a video we've got for you today, because we've brought not one but two of the best-selling SUVs to ever grace this island, and we're going to be examining them side by side and inch by inch to see which one deserves the title of the Queen of the Crossovers. I've brought with me only the best-selling car in Ireland at the moment, and on and off the last 5 years. It's the one, the only, Hyundai Tucson!
And I have brought the OG of the modern day crossover, the Nissan Qashqai.
Was that dramatic enough?
No, definitely not.
Okay, let's have a quick word from our sponsors and dive straight in.
This video is brought to you by Vendor Finance. If you're looking for car finance and want the best available motor finance rates, check out vendorfinance.ie and apply online today. Vendor Finance is 100% Irish owned. See the comment section for more details.
We have the Qashqai, and I think it's fair to say that Nissan basically invented the modern day crossover way back in 2007 with the first Qashqai. And everyone followed suit, and now we have high-riding hatchbacks everywhere. But back then, Nissan captured people's imaginations and their wallets, to be fair. Today we have the third generation, and it is slightly higher, slightly wider and slightly longer. And to my eyes anyway, I think they've done a great job with the styling. It's quite subtle, it's quite sleek, it's quite stylish, but I do like the look of it, and I really do like the headlights. Big fan.
Yes, so these are both brand new models for 2021, which is important because they have both had major glow-ups, to be fair. But I am not even going to entertain the notion that I have not brought the better looking car today. The new Tucson is stunning. Now, the last one was handsome enough in a more inoffensive kind of way, but this one, in my own personal, humble opinion, of course, is gorgeous. This light grille integration is magnificent, it's bold, it's memorable, it's everything an SUV shouldn't be. And I'm a massive fan also of the front. As for the rest of the car, like, the rear is fine, it's nice and peachy back there, but along the side is where my adoration starts to wane a little bit, because I just feel like there's a little bit too much going on, and that double crease effect kind of makes it look like someone ran into it with a shopping trolley, which would be handy if it ever happens, because you might not notice. But yeah, I'm not such a big fan of that. On the plus side, I do love the wheels, and I really do love it in black. I think it gives it a really cool, menacing feel, which is exactly what you want on the school run.
Scare the kids.
Now, I know you're not going to necessarily agree with me on that.
Slightly. I don't hate it, and I do think it is quite striking, but I just fear for it over time. There's quite a lot going on, like you've lots of dashes down the bonnet, you have your origami side, you have the mad headlights, like the wings with the lights. There's just a hell of a lot going on, and as you said yourself, just too much going on. So maybe over time I slightly fear for that look, whereas this is a bit more subtle on the Qashqai, but I don't hate it.
Look, looks are always going to be a very tough one to call. I think we're just going to have to let people decide for themselves what the better looking car is. But one thing that you can't argue with is practicality. So, shall we have a look at the nitty gritty?
Yes. So Qashqai boot, well, 504 litres to be precise.
Cute.
I have a cute boot, don't I? Because of the spec on this one, we have a false floor with dividers.
Oh.
I'll just, yeah, you mind that one. I'll take this one.
Like a surfboard kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you can divide up your shopping, or I don't know, stuff that might explode if they hit each other. There's no quick release, which is always handy to drop those back seats. But when you do drop them, it is nice and flat. That's basically it, really. And we even have the old school parcel shelf.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
So you take it out and you leave it in your living room and you forget where you put it. Qashqai boot.
So the Tucson boot measures in at an astronomical.
What? Where are you off to? Space?
Well,
what?
it does have wings on the front.
Oh yeah, fly to space.
620 litres.
That's a big old boot.
Tosse on a more. Other than that, it's quite your standard affair back here. It's got a nice flat load lip, like your own. The back seats also fold nice and flat. Now, unfortunately, you do have to go around to the back seat to do so. You can't do it from back here, and no quick release, unfortunately. You've got a 12-volt charging socket, no shopping bag hooks, but I do have 4 tether points for netting.
For a bit of netting.
Netting stuff down. Now, no electric tailgate, which I'm a little bit surprised on this Executive
Yeah.
Plus model, but it does have a little handle to help you close the door.
And it has the bit where the button would have been, which is always
Yeah,
frustrating.
It must be the higher spec again that gets that. But yeah, it does have a handle, which is nice and thoughtful, and it is a really, really heavy tailgate.
So Sinead, talk to me about the back of the Tucson.
So, the back of the Tucson is also on a more.
On a more, agus on a jazz.
Agus on a jazz. So legroom is really quite good. I'm 167 centimetres for reference. And we've also got a nice wide rear bench, which we love to see, especially if you have to fit large
Buttocks.
car seats into the back.
The buttocks fit though.
Now, you've got a little hump in the floor, not too big, humpy ug.
Humpy ug, yeah, which is fine.
Which means it still should be reasonably comfortable for a third passenger back here.
The little person.
The little one goes in the middle.
Yes.
Now, if you only have two, it's even better again because they have this cool little pull-down centre armrest complete with cup holders. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that my seats fold in a handy 40-20-40 split.
Ah, yes, very handy.
So that is cool if you ever need to carry any random single
Or just
longer item.
divide yourself from your fellow backseat passenger.
The design is also quite nice. I have to make a special mention to this lovely cream upholstery in the Executive Plus. I think it really lifts it in here. It could be a little bit dark otherwise.
Definitely.
And the design touches are so nice as well. Love this kind of perforated leather that scatters here like a little galaxy effect.
More space reference.
More space stuff. Creature comforts are also quite good. We've got 2 USB ports down here, magazine holders, cup holders. Oh, and we've got inbuilt sun blinds, which are a really lovely touch. The best thing about the back of the Tucson is the amount of headroom you get. It is absolutely huge. I could actually even nearly stand up in here.
Totally, yeah.
So, do you want to show me the back of the Qashqai?
Yes. So, back seat of the Qashqai, and first things first, we're not going to talk about the seats or anything yet. We're going to talk about doors.
Doors?
Yep. This opens 85 degrees.
That is an incredibly straight angle.
Isn't it? Which is apparently best in class. So it makes child seats and large buttocks getting in very easy.
That would be very handy.
Yeah.
What else have you got for me?
Panoramic sunroof, which I know you aren't a massive fan, but I like them. I haven't sat in a car with one in a while, but I quite like this. All the natural light just coming in. No need for light leather seats to brighten it. It's just bright by nature.
I feel like they are quite expensive as an option.
Yeah.
And tend to add a bit of weight, and most of the time in Ireland you spend your time just looking up at the rain.
As we are today.
Like today.
And it does impinge headroom. I'm fairly tightly squeezed in here, but I do feel like I'm sitting higher than we were in your car.
Yeah, I'd agree. It definitely feels a little bit higher up. I would say, like, design stuff aside, because I know that that's kind of spec related, space-wise it feels very neck and neck.
Yeah, very similar, just the amount of space. Maybe the seats are marginally more comfortable than yours. Just
I would say so, just for that extra bit of height.
That's it really, back seat of the Qashqai. So up front in the Qashqai, and now full disclosure, my parents have had both previous generations of the Qashqai.
Right.
So I think anyone who sits into this who has driven the other ones will be very comfortable. It's a bit more modern, but it still harks back to the older one, and they'll know what they're getting basically.
It's nice and simple.
It is very simple, very straightforward. Looks quite well, and actually the quality of materials is pretty decent. I wouldn't have any major complaints. There's not too much scratchy stuff. There's bits here and there, but
No, the
nothing that
touch
you
points
touch.
seem good.
Exactly, you have to be fussy to really pick it apart. Now, an entry-level Qashqai starts at about €30,000, and a nice little touch from Nissan is actually the fact that they do not shortchange you on the high-tech safety features if you only buy the entry-level model. And even at that point, it's well spec'd, it's nice. The only downside is it has steel wheels, not alloys. Would you believe that?
You're
in this day and age?
joking me.
Yeah, I'm not. Steel wheels. So that might prompt you into the higher spec stuff.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, which, speaking of higher spec, is what we have today in the SV Premium. So all in, this is about €37,000.
Okay.
And there are a few nice little touches. The panoramic sunroof that we spoke about earlier, some wireless charging.
Cool.
You get a larger digital dash up here in front. You've sat nav as well, and a nice decent screen. This is quite large. It is a bit older, arcadey kind of graphics, but it works okay. And plus you can use Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but you can use Apple CarPlay wirelessly, but not Android Auto. You need to wire up your Android if you want your CarPlay.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's fair
Which is
enough.
a bit-
Just get an iPhone.
No.
Just get an iPhone like everyone else.
No, never. Android all the way.
I really like this. I have to say, I think that looks like a massive improvement on the last
Yeah.
Nissan infotainment system that I experienced.
And underneath you have standard knobs and dials for your air conditioning, which is always handy.
Love that. I'm very jealous of that. I'll show you
What you're dealing
what I
with.
don't have in the Tucson.
I'll show you what I don't have. But the rest is fine. You have cup holders. You have your center armrest with two little bits.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and a USB-C and old school USB.
You've got your pick and
in
mix there again. I really like that. So they're keeping everybody happy there.
Android people and Apple people.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know, it's pretty nice.
Cool.
Can I see the Tucson?
You can. So, the front of the Tucson is, in my opinion anyway, very well executed. It's
Certainly.
really nicely laid out. The quality is top notch. The materials feel really premium. And it's all very much focused around this touchscreen, which runs right the way down the centre console and sort of semi-houses the HVAC controls. I'll get back to that in a second.
Okay.
But in general, I feel like this is a big leap forward for Hyundai. So whereas before, I think you could have sat into one of these and not known whether you were in a Hyundai or a Kia,
Yes.
which is no shade on Kia because they also do a really good interior, but I just feel like it's got more of its own identity this time around, a bit more of Hyundai personality
Yes,
coming
definitely.
through. This is really good to use. The graphics are crisp. It's really responsive. It's got all the functionality that you want, you know, your sat-nav, Bluetooth phone, streaming, sounds of nature.
Very important.
Vital
Vital,
stuff.
especially in Ireland. We really need that.
Then onto these aircon controls. I just feel like they've gone to the trouble of making them as finicky to use as a touchscreen, but yet they don't look as good with these digital controls.
Yeah.
So as much as I hate the idea in general, I almost wish they had just integrated them
Yeah, pick a lane.
into, yeah, exactly.
Pick a lane.
Integrated them into the screen and then, you know, cleared up some real estate on the center console, which is a little bit busy by today's standards in terms of buttons, given that they also give you buttons to select your gears.
Yes, I see that. How do you feel about button gear selection?
Actually, don't mind it at all.
Don't mind?
Actually comes
Don't
quite
miss?
naturally, surprisingly naturally, it does.
Okay. Looks odd, but
So, spec-wise, this is the Executive Plus, which, as the name Executive suggests,
yes.
is very fancy.
It feels
and
like
the
it,
Plus, even fancier.
Plus fancy, yeah.
But given that this is also the hybrid model, it gives it a hefty enough starting price of about €43,000.
Ooh, that's hefty.
But the range starts with the more reasonable entry-level diesel at €33,500, and then
Okay.
you travel through a variety of different trim levels and powertrains and engines to get to this most high point of Tucsonery.
Tucsonery, I like it, yeah.
But in a nutshell, entry-level spec is really good. So you get a smaller 8-inch colour touchscreen display as standard, 17-inch alloy wheels,
Steelies are the future.
a multifunction leather steering wheel, heated seats are actually standard on
That's
the Comfort
good, yeah,
Plus,
that's rare.
and a reversing camera. So you then move on to the Executive, not Plus, so the Executive Minus,
Who's your executive?
which adds a full leather upholstery, electric lumbar adjustment and wireless phone charging. Then this Executive Plus gets the upgraded 10-inch colour touchscreen display, 19-inch alloy wheels and upgraded exterior. But as I said, it also gives it quite a hefty price tag, depending of course on what engine choice you go for, of which there are many. So I guess we should probably talk about that next. Shall we go for a drive?
Let's take these bad boys for a spin.
Bad boys. Did I mention that this is the best-selling car in Ireland at the moment?
Yeah, you might have got it out there.
And has been there or thereabouts for the last 5 years or so.
I know, this thing is bonkers how well it sells, isn't it? I even checked the stats this morning, and up till the end of July this year, they've sold almost 5,000 Tucsons in Ireland. Mental.
That is bonkers.
You just see them everywhere. It's like, honest to God, it's like a glitch in the Matrix, and just the simulation is just running and running. You can't go a day without seeing a Tucson. Mad.
So yeah, they were thereabouts at the top spot for the last 5 years. It kind of burst onto the scene in 2016, straight to the
Massively.
top of the pop, stayed there until a couple of years ago, pesky Toyota came along with their fancy new Corolla Hybrid. So the head honchos in Hyundai did exactly what we'd expect them to do.
What was that?
Had a big meeting and said, we want some of that. So do you see where I'm going with this?
What's this?
It's now a hybrid.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course it
Or
is.
this one is anyway. There's still a healthy variety of choice there. You've got your trusty 1.6 litre diesel, there's a mild hybrid diesel, there's a plug-in petrol hybrid, and then there's this petrol hybrid.
This
So,
hybrid.
Hybrid. So to be clear, this is the type of hybrid that does not require charging, although it does have an electric motor which harnesses energy from the engine and regenerative braking to power the car at lower speeds and to generally improve fuel economy. It is, if you like, and I'm not sure how Hyundai will feel about me describing it this way, the Toyota model of a hybrid. Can't bring myself to use the term self-charging because I just can't deal with the splashback in the comments
shit show
section.
in the comments, because that's what it would be.
So we'll gloss over that. So under the hood is a 1.6 litre petrol, assisted, as I said, by a 44 kilowatt hour electric motor, which powers the car depending on the situation. So as I said, and in fairness, you do seem to spend a lot of time in electric mode at lower speeds and in and around towns and the suburbs. And then at higher speeds on your motorway, etc., the petrol engine will kick in. So the idea is obviously to improve fuel economy with a focus on people who do a lot of city driving. Now, my driving over the last couple of days has been very motorway focused, so it's been at high speeds. And as such, my fuel economy has been a little disappointing as a result. I've been averaging about 6.8 litres per 100 kilometres, which isn't terrible, but there is not amazing, but there is still an argument there that for those who do spend a lot of time on the motorway at higher speeds, that the diesel might be a better option there. It's a lot cheaper too. What I will say though is that for a hybrid, this is surprisingly nice to drive. And I just mean that in the sense that hybrids don't have a reputation for being the most exciting cars in the world.
No, definitely not.
But the combination of petrol and battery power here helps it actually develop 230 HP, or the equivalent of.
That seems mental.
It's just a really good interpretation of a hybrid. It's really quick off the mark, plenty of power there when you want it, and the transitions between powers are really seamless, so it's quite nice and quiet around town in hybrid mode, but also when you're at full tilt on the petrol, on the motorway, it's really refined.
Nice
very
and quiet.
Yeah, very quiet cabin. It's a very, very comfortable car to drive as well. I really do like the extra raised driving position. I always find myself a lot fresher after a long journey getting out of a car like this. That's a little bit less.
Step out.
Yeah, a little bit less bend in the leg, I suppose. Maybe that's
bad
me.
hips.
Maybe that's me getting old. But yeah,
I just like the height. The hips to be happy.
Exactly. But yeah, just really nice, comfortable. The handling is predictable in the best possible way, in that the steering is neither too light nor too tight.
Neutral vibes.
Neutral, and then likewise the suspension is just soft enough not to be bouncy, just firm enough to still give you a decent bit of grip around corners. And on that note, you actually do get pretty decent grip despite the extra height and all that extra headroom back there.
And body roll's pretty well managed. It feels like it anyway. I'm not rolling around the place too much.
Exactly. So to be honest, in terms of a family car, you really couldn't ask for more.
No, maybe a bit cheaper though.
Let's have a look at the Qashqai.
The what?
The Qashqai.
The Qashqai. The engine lineup on the Qashqai is a hell of a lot more straightforward than your Tucson.
Oh, how so?
Well, I say lineup, it's only one as it stands today.
That's straightforward, all right.
It's very straightforward. So it's easy for me, that's for sure.
So what is it?
So we are in a 1.3 litre turbocharged petrol unit with a mild hybrid system, and it's good for like 140 brake horsepower.
I see.
Yeah, now interestingly, next year, 2022, Nissan are going to come out with a very different engine to what most other manufacturers have been doing.
Yeah?
Sort of a reverse hybrid, if you will. So it'll have a 1.5 petrol engine, it'll have an electric motor and a battery, but the petrol engine will never actually drive the wheels. It will purely be used as a generator to regenerate the battery and then drive those front wheels. You never actually run the wheels on petrol power.
That is really clever. So that is exactly what it is, a reverse hybrid. So you've got the petrol engine just powering the battery as opposed to...
A range extender, I think, is what it is. Sort of a generator vibe.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, that'll be a good one to test. Hopefully we get it next year, but sure, we'll see. Anyway, moving back to today's engine, it actually suits the car perfectly well, and our one is a 6-speed manual, which I have no complaints about really. Still like manual. I don't mind changing gears myself, I'm not that lazy. And it's quite a smooth one, it clicks in nicely, it does its job. And that engine is pretty decent, it's got a good bit of kick when you want it.
It does feel nippy enough in fairness.
Yeah, especially if you keep it on the boil and above like 1500, 2000 revs, it's got a good kick. The only thing it does have is a bit of a flat spot below that. It's kind of...
I actually think I felt that.
Yeah, I think you would have felt it there. It's kind of lifeless below that.
That's the rain there.
That's absolutely piddling there.
How is she on fuel economy?
Sorry, I can't concentrate, I'm just looking at the rain. Yeah, fuel economy is actually not too bad either. If I gave it a range, it would be between, I think, 5.8 and 7.8 litres per 100 kilometres,
Right.
with an average of 7, somewhere in that region.
So you're kind of similar to me.
Yeah, I think 6.9 is the average. Obviously, it is a bit disappointing to not have a diesel in the lineup, and I think that will maybe force people to gravitate towards the Tucson in that regard.
There's the rain now.
Yeah, it's absolutely bucketing down, so we're not going back out on that. We have the nice, comfy Qashqai for our conclusion, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is safer. We don't want to get drowned.
No.
Yeah.
So where are we at?
Where are we at? It's a good question, isn't it? I think I really like the Qashqai, and maybe I have an affinity to it just because my parents have had them. And I do think people who've had Qashqais before will still prefer this. They'll gravitate towards it, they'll know what they're getting. But there is just a bit more choice in the Tucson lineup at the minute, which will appeal to other people.
It will, and I have to say I'm reluctantly very impressed with the Qashqai. I think it's a car that has matured really well over the last few years. I think this new interior is really impressive. I do like this little update to the styling, and I think the Qashqai fans are going to be really impressed with what they get here.
Certainly.
And there is that kind of familiarity that people will keep coming back to. And as I said, they have lots to be happy about here. The tech has really come on as well. For me, I agree with you. I think the huge range of choice on offer with the Tucson at the moment is going to be a big selling point. For me, it's coming back down to the looks. I just much prefer the flash new look of the Tucson.
It's a bit fussy, and I think people who are more subtle might go Qashqai.
So something for everyone, is that what we're trying to say?
Yeah, definitely. These are two great cars with great choice, and they're hard to argue against, really. Holy Moses.
That is really raining. Right, we better go.
We better just stop.
Yeah, we better
'cause
just
they're
stop.
going to rain.
Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you've taken something from it. If you're between these two cars, please do let us know. If you found it helpful, or if you've got any more questions that we might be able to help with.
Exactly. Please like, subscribe, comment,
Do
all
all
that
those
lovely
bits.
stuff.
It would be great.
Yes.
Be nice in the comments, though.
Please.
We do read them.
Yeah, we do, and we cry ourselves to sleep. I do, anyway.
See you next week.
Bye.